Why are people scrolling past my social media content? I have this feeling all the time, and I know a lot of people who are watching this right now have the same feeling. And I'm so excited that you are here because you're focused on actually creating content that helps personal trainers and coaches to create a design on social media that actually stops people from scrolling. So, Graham, thank you so much for being here. The stage is yours.
Thank you for having me, first of all, and good afternoon. And wow, what a presentation that was by Laura. It's going to be hard to kind of top that, but I'll try and just deliver some content that's going to help everyone watching and people who watch this on catch up, some nuggets that they can take away and action immediately within their social media. So this is all going to be about why people scroll past your social media, but the most important thing is what you can do about it. So let me just get the slides on. So who am I and why should you listen to me? First of all, I'm a former coach. So everyone in the room who I believe is going to be some form of coach, nutritionist, consultant, I've been there. I've worked with clients online. I've worked in person. And I know how to use social media in order to get more clients on board. In 2020, so just over 2 years ago, I started Graphics with Coaches. The reason being is because a lot of coaches were asking me who my graphic designer was. I took a lot of pride in the way my social media looked, the way my business looked, the way the content I delivered to my clients looked. And that was attracting a lot of attention from other coaches, which is why I started to build this business on the side, which eventually became my full-time role. And it's just growing on a daily basis. I've worked with clients all around the world. I've probably created in excess of 3,500 images for social media for clients, generating them on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. Today, it's all about social media and how you can get the scroll from your followers, turning these into clients. So first of all, is social media design important? Yes, but no. Style over substance is a conversion killer. We use social media, we use imagery and powerful words to grab our viewers' attention. But if the message behind that is poor, it's only going to work and be effective so many times because the audience will get used to it. They'll know it's more clickbaity. There's no real value there. And then after a short period of time, the effectiveness of the really good imagery can be quickly worn away. So how do you make people read your content? So first of all, it starts with the message. The message behind your content is the most important thing. Speaking to your audience, speaking to your target demographic, knowing their struggles, knowing their pain points, knowing that you offer them the solution. That is the most important thing. So once we know who we're talking to, what we want to say, we need to reel them in by having a really attractive cover image. So before you go into creating the image and getting it on Canva or Photoshop or Adobe Illustrator, whatever software you use, there's some questions you need to ask yourself just to make sure that the post is going to convert as well as you like. So first of all, is the post of value? Is it offering any value to your audience? So the people who you want to work with, my apologies, people you want to work with, is it going to offer them value? Is it original? Is it something that they've heard, half thousand or thousands of times that month? Is it something that was currently trending, but it's starting to become old news? Does it solve a pain point, or does it offer a solution? We know our audience. We know they have a pain point that we can solve. Do they know that through our content we are the person that can help them solve that problem? Does it tell a story? Does it tell your audience how you took a client from A to B, or how you can take them from A to B? Does it show them the journey? Does it show them the steps that you will take them through to get them there? Is it relevant? Is the content you're about to put out, is it relevant to the people who will be reading it? Because that's going to be a massive indicator of how well the post performs. Is it entertaining? Is it something that's going to grab someone's attention? Is it a really good reel cover? Is it a really engaging reel? Or is it just something that you've thrown on camera in 2 minutes and not really taken too much time about it? These are all questions we need to ask ourselves before we start going into the kind of design process around the post. So one important thing is choose your heading wisely. It's important to not just put the first heading on our social media content that comes to our head. We need to really start having to think about it, because that is what's going to hook our clients in or our followers in. We need to make sure that it is going to grab the headline, or it is going to grab the attention. And if we just do the first one that we come up with, there could be potentially better ones, but we need to make sure that we're going to choose the most effective one. So one thing I always say is write 5 to 10 different variations, then pick the one that fits the content the best. Make it clickable. Make your audience want to think, I really need to read that. That is content I really need to read. Because if they don't think that on seeing the headline, then they're going to scroll past it. Big tip here is don't give the entire post away in the heading. So you might see people post something like, stop using time as an excuse. And they'll put that as the heading on the post. Well, then everyone knows what that post is going to be about. They know it's going to be about stop blaming time. It's just an excuse, blah, 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 blah. People have heard that so many times and it's boring. So we need to put another twist on it to make sure that they're really going to engage with our content. Jennifer, thank you very much. So how do you get inspiration for your designs? How do you think about what is going to be the most engaging content? What's really going to grab my audience's attention? So if you think of Netflix, if you go onto the Netflix main menu, you've got so many titles to choose from, all highly appealing, all competing with each other to be downloaded or to be viewed. And they use attractive cover designs along with a really nice description or engaging description to grab your attention. That's what we need to do on social media. We need to think about how do the advertisers do it? How do the big players do it? How do they grab your attention? If you go into a supermarket or a store and you see the magazine shelf, they're all in competition with each other to grab your attention. And it's the one that stands out the most that is going to get your eyes on the content and a high percentage chance of you picking that magazine up and taking it and paying for it. Pinterest, another great source of inspiration. You can have a look in your field. You can think about what's looking good, what's relevant, but also what catches your eye. Because chances are you became a coach or a nutritionist or a consultant through your own personal journey. So anything that catches your eye is also likely to catch their eye as well. So using Pinterest as well can be a really good source of inspiration. Look at common themes and trends that catch your attention, but also think about why it caught your attention. What specific thing or element or design, part of the design got your attention, and think of ways that you can manipulate it or use that similarly in your own designs. Your cover slide is key. Now, this is the most crucial part of, say, for instance, making a carousel or you're making just a single post. The cover slide is really, really important. I said it's key. It's not as important as the message, but in terms of getting the click, we really need to make it highly engaging and appealable, or as I say, a thumb stopper. So when I create a design, I'll talk about this in the next slide, but I always try and get some relevance in there. And I always try and get a powerful headline and some imagery that is going to stop the thumb. So a few examples of some of my posts I just picked from random, making sure that some consistency in terms of the design, the layout, the branding. So my followers or people who are on my page pretty much know that it's my content before they've even seen my name. So the key elements that you need to consider when you're making designs like this is to use the 1080 by 1350 ratio, or 4:5 ratio, sorry. Now, we can use the 1080 by 1080 square, the 1:1 image, but we can also use the 1080 by 1350. And the reason why we use that is because it takes up more retail space on the screen. So when people are scrolling through Instagram bored, your image, if it's the larger size image, it's got a higher chance of getting someone's attention. Use a strong, unique image. If you're going to use an image from a stock image site and it's something that you've seen before, the chances are your audience has seen it before as well. So what I say, if you've seen it, someone else has seen it, don't use it. Or edit it or manipulate it in a way that makes it not look quite as stocky as it was originally, if that makes sense. Strong, catchy headline, keep it short, keep it powerful, and keep it intriguing. Visual branding to build know, like, and trust, and familiarity. So in my previous examples, you can see the familiarity in the layout, in the style, in the design, the four-line headings, so people start to recognize that as my content. Social media elements and handles, another little design tip, not crucial, but can add a little extra dimension to your images. So I'm going to go through these in a little bit more detail. So image size, as I already touched on, you can see here in the example the difference between using a 1080 square or the 1080 by 1350. It's much larger. It has a greater chance of being seen. It's what I always recommend to people who I work with or people who ask for my advice. That is my go-to size. The only thing you've got to consider when you are using that image size is that the tops and bottoms of the image will be cropped when it goes into your grid. So you've always got to think about a margin. And for anyone who's wanting to know a little bit more about this, the margin is 135 pixels from the top and from the bottom. So that'll be the margin that gets cropped off in the grid. And the grid is square, it's 1:1. So you can see on the example here on the left, you can see where it would be cropped on this, which is good because it means you can still see the headline, you can still see the design features. The only thing that's missing is my social media, is my logo, well, it's actually my old logo, and my social media handle, which isn't that important when someone's already on your grid because they know who you are. Image choice, again, not boring. Don't choose a boring image. If it's boring to you and doesn't look, it's one of the first images you came across, your audience will know. Pick something intriguing and engaging. And as I've already said, original if possible, or edited. Make it relevant to the post, or you can put a twist on the post. So a while ago, I put a post about Instagram hacks, like 5 top Instagram hacks. So there's lots of things you could think about in that, or if you're a coach, you could put my 5 top weight loss hacks as an example. But what a lot of people would do, they put a picture of someone training or a diet or a nutrition or a plate of food, but you could go on different and you could put a picture of a computer hacker. And it is the hacker, but it's just a slight twist on it. And it's just something different that is going to grab someone's attention rather than the same monotonous images that they see over and over again. Make it clearly visible. Let's think about using contrast. Let's think about using the right colors. Let's make just a bit of care and a bit of TLC behind the design we put out. Because what we've got to think about is every time we post on social media, that is a mini advertisement for our business, and it's going to be seen over and over again, hopefully. Correct alignment as well. Try and just keep everything nice. I will touch on this shortly, but try and keep everything nicely aligned as well. Heading, appropriate font, bold, strong, easy to read. A good contrast that stands out from the background. So the font is a good color. It stands out nicely from the background so people can read it clearly. Not too long. We're talking 5 to 7 words maximum, just to make sure that we're not giving away too much. We're building intrigue, but also so that the words don't take up too much on the screen. Emphasis. Ensure the heading is the focus. The heading is the thing that we want people to read. So that has to be a strong point of focus. Visual branding as well. This is important to show strong brand calls on a design that builds up the like, know, and trust to your content, as I already mentioned. It gives you a consistent grid. So when people look at your grid on Instagram, they can see that there's some consistency there. They can see the professionalism, and they can understand what the professionalism you put into your content. The goal here is so that your followers know it's your content before they even see your name. Social media elements. Handles or username, details of the post could go at the bottom as well, and your picture or your logo. And it's these little tweaks that can just make an image from good to great. They don't take too much any longer really than the main design. And the thing is, you can just save that as a template and use it over and over again. So do it once and just repeat and repeat and repeat. So common mistakes and how you can avoid them. So mistake number 1 is when it comes to writing the what we'll call a body content. So if it was, for example, a carousel post or a post that had a lot of text on it, we want to make sure that we are aligning the text to the left edge. We don't want to central line. The reason being, in the Western world, we read from top to bottom, left to right, and it makes it more difficult to read. And if something's more difficult to read because we're lazy and the brain's lazy, we'll probably skip past it. So we want to really try and keep everything nicely aligned to the left. Another mistake is using too many different fonts within one image. Try and stick to 2, absolute maximum 3, but instead of using different fonts, just use different sizes. And it just makes the process a lot easier. It makes it look more professional, and it's going to give you just that. Just take your designs up a few notches. Poor contrast as well. Pick colors that are going to have a contrast to the background. So an example on here, having white on a light gray doesn't really work. Have a strong black color. It's going to stand out a lot more. As I've already mentioned as well, boring images, weight loss hacks, picture of a female carrying an apple and some broccoli. It's boring, it's not original, it's not really inviting or engaging. But if you contrast it with something weight loss hacks, it's got the intrigue there. It's something different to what our audience are used to seeing, and you've got a high percentage chance of getting a click on it. Mistake number 5 is text effects. Putting things like outer glows and shadows and things like that. Although it's a feature we can use, it doesn't mean we have to use it. And actually, many times that coaches actually use it, it reduces the contrast. Rather than making the contrast better, it reduces it, which makes the text harder to read. And the final one I'll comment on is what I call floaters. And it's where, if you have an image, maybe of yourself or a stock image with limbs cropped off at the top, bottom, left, or right, what a lot of coaches will do, they'll put it just anywhere within the image. But what I recommend is put it to the side of the image where the crop is. It just makes it look more natural. So you can see here on the right-hand side, we've got a picture of the man holding the bottle. He's clearly got his legs cropped on this one. But if you just drag it down to the bottom edge, it just makes it look like natural, like that was how it was meant to be. So considerations, visual hierarchy is the order of importance. So we need to think about what's going on the screen, what is the order of importance, and I've got another slide on this which will just demonstrate that better. Contrast, think about visibility. We want to make sure that everything on the screen we can see clearly. Alignment, because it creates structure and readability. Balance, a nice distribution of elements. So for example, what I like to do is if there's something on the left-hand side of the image, balance it with something on the right. If there's some white space at the top of the image, try and make sure there's some white space at the bottom and keep it symmetrical, keep it even. It just gives a really nice balance to the image. Movement gives you control of what your audience see next. As this example here. That's an example of visual hierarchy, but also movement, because you're telling the audience where to go by using visual hierarchy in your images.